Hey, good morning, Mid-Missouri. Thanks for joining us on this live stream here to start your, well, I guess mid-morning on your Tuesday. Today's going to be somewhat of a quiet day compared to what we've got coming down the pipeline. And that's, of course, why we're starting our weather alert day coverage maybe a little bit early for some of you. I know we don't always do this a couple of days out, but it's a sign the confidence is there in some dangerous features in the forecast. Not just a winter storm. We do have a winter storm watch in place for some accumulating snow and some tricky travel conditions. You can see that here behind me. We've got blue across most of mid-Missouri with the exception of Camden County over towards Marys, Pulaski, and Phelps. But I think all of us have a chance for some winter accumulations, some snow accumulations. But it's not just the snow that we're concerned with. There's increasing confidence in our snow forecast, yes, but there's really high confidence in the cold air that's coming with this system that's going to bring us that snow. Take a look at this. This is our wind chill alerts. Wind chill watch is in effect for all of mid-Missouri, from Macon County to Phelps and Pulaski, right along I-44. And if you take I-70 from west to east, you'll see that all the way from Marshall and Sedalia over towards Montgomery City, Herman area. So we've got wind chill effect in place. The cold air is really one of our higher confidence factors in the forecast. So we're certain that there's going to be a lot of cold air regardless of what happens with the snow. Now the snow, there's more factors to that to forecast, but we are starting to get higher confidence that we're going to be looking at somewhere between 1 inch to 6 inches area wide. Now where you are in particular, we'll talk about that in just a minute with our snowfall map. But what's important to point out here is that we don't expect any potential for ice with this. There may be somewhat of a switch from rain to snow as this thing approaches, but that's going to be a very, very short window, and we're likely to see that rain cut off to snow maybe within an hour of when it starts. And not all of us will see that rain start as it looks right now. So let's get into it a little bit. I mentioned today is somewhat mild, right? We're in the 30s, low 30s. Freezing doesn't feel like it should be mild, but this time of the year, and especially considering the polar air that we're going to see behind our next system that's currently hiding up across the northern plains. So let's dive into this. Wednesday, we're warming a little bit out ahead of this next system. There's somewhat of a warm front lifting there across the upper Midwest. It's not having a lot of impact on us other than it's getting us above freezing for Wednesday. We might reach upper 30s, and that would be about the extent of our warm-up Wednesday afternoon. As you can see, that's with cloud cover. This here is this blue line that we have plotted. That's our freezing line to kind of give you an indication of where temperatures will be. Some of us, if this is the case, some of us getting close to freezing to the north. Either way, it won't have a big impact on your forecast other than it's just another cloudy and cool day. But we're not cold like we will be behind this cold front that's approaching Thursday morning, early Thursday morning. By the way, I meant to mention this when I got into the live stream. Thanks for watching. If you're watching, if you got questions, throw it in the live stream. I've got a display over here. I can see those comments if you're watching on YouTube. I don't think we're doing this on Facebook. If we are, hop on over to our YouTube, drop those comments there, and I'll try to get to those before I wrap up later on the next 30 minutes or so. Overall, again, cold front approaching Thursday morning. That will bring, like I mentioned, snow and maybe for some of us a little bit of rain. The chance for rain to mix in ahead of this snow is greatest south of I-70. Although, that being said, here recently it looks like we could see maybe for some start out as snow, maybe a rain-snow mix. Either way, it's going to be a quick transition if we do see some rain, as I mentioned. And that's going to last likely from just before sunrise if you're headed to work early in the dark hours of your commute time frame. And then what we're likely watching is widespread snow throughout the morning into the late morning and likely early afternoon. There's been some variation on how fast this moves through. Generally speaking, we expect some of those better snowfall rates to be north of I-70 thanks to some of the colder air that it has access to. We can talk more about that in a little bit. But overall, that snow starting to get out of here by the time we get to the evening hours. And this is what we should be left with. We're looking at, or what we may be left with. I'll leave it more open than that. As we look towards Springfield, Branson area, if you're headed south on Highway 65, or maybe you've got to go I-44 to get to your family's Christmas in parts of Oklahoma. Maybe you're headed to Oklahoma City. Maybe you're taking the south route from, we'll say, Fort Leonard Wood, Rolla over to St. Louis. You're going to run into still a chance for some accumulating snow along your travel. And And the same rings true for you in this location with the wind after the snow falls. And we've been talking about this a lot, and we will a little bit more in just a few minutes. But after the snow's done falling, you're still going to have some issues with it blowing around. And this is going to be a very drifty snow, maybe more so to the north than to the south, but I think all of us will have that potential. And so right now we could see anywhere up to 2 inches, perhaps on the high side of things near Springfield, although your chance for an inch or two is much better in this this secondary light blue that we've got, highlighting areas like Fort Leonard Wood and Rolla, Owensville, Vienna, Marys County, southern Gasconade over towards Pulaski and Phelps County, maybe the southern tip of Camden County. And I think that's where you're better at. You're closer to maybe an inch on the low side of things, with higher snow totals, of course, increasing as we go north. This is where I think we'll see a better chance at that 2 to 4 inches. We could see some places with an isolated 5-inch total in this window. So that's going to be communities like Jefferson City, Columbia, California, we'll say Sedalia, Pettis County over towards Benton County, Marshall, Saline and Marshall, or excuse me, Warsaw. Saline and Marshall, you're getting close to that next tier to the north. And so if you find yourself across northern mid-Missouri, north of Highway 24, that's where you've got that better chance at maybe 4 to 6 inches. Now, I think the the likelihood, there we go, the likelihood of getting 6 or more is quite low. I think you're looking at maybe 4 to 5, but there's a possibility of some isolated higher amounts there. And we'll take that all the way to the north of the state. If you're traveling to Kirksville, Quincy, you could run into, again, some more road impacts. Even though this doesn't look like maybe a lot of snow to a lot of us. I know an inch or two, you hear that and you don't think much of it. But this is, again, a very drifty snow. It's going to be hard. Once the snow gets cleared, gets plowed, there's a good potential of it blowing back onto the roadway. And that may be the least of our concerns, especially if you're going to be out driving around Thursday night into Friday morning. Maybe you're out Friday morning. We could have some visibility issues just with the snow on the ground getting kicked up in these 20 to 30 mile per hour winds with some gusts higher than that at times. So that's something to keep in mind. Even though the snow's done and maybe it's an inch or two, it's not, it doesn't sound like it's going to be much, but even if we get 6 inches, because that snow is blowing around a whole lot, it may not look like more than an inch in some places. But where that snow drifts, maybe over a roadway in certain locations, maybe up the side of your building, it could be a bit more impactful in situations like that. So it's going to be something on a case-to-case basis you're probably going to want to keep in mind if you're traveling for your Christmas vacation, holiday travel, whatever you're doing. If you're out, not only are we going to be talking about snow, but blowing snow. And that brings up my next point, which is the cold air. The cold air that's going to be with this wind is going to be absolutely brutal and likely something that you don't want to be caught out on. It's out in. It's going to be quite dangerous. We'll talk about the implications, the health implications of that in just a few minutes. But again, this really hammers that point home. Blowing snow likely to continue after the snow's done falling. So again, visibility issue is going to be a concern, especially if you're trying to pull an overnight travel, you're trying to get somewhere early, maybe you're trying to get to the airport. I've had a few folks already asking me, what's the weather going to be like Thursday? I got to get to St. Louis, I got to get to Kansas City to hit the skies. So again, if you're traveling late, keep that in mind. Visibility even after the snow is going to be a concern. And also, again, that drifting back across the roadway is going to be an issue as well. So I've been just rambling here. Let's break this down into maybe the days you might be getting out of here. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're getting out of state. If you're traveling Wednesday night, great, looks great. Things are warm, likely above freezing. Wednesday afternoon, they're cooling down, maybe below freezing Wednesday night, but the precipitation holds off likely until Thursday morning. And once that starts, things are going to deteriorate quite quickly. And in fact, as I mentioned, even beyond Thursday night, the snow should be done Thursday night, but Friday morning, you're still likely going to need to pack some extra time. I'm not saying you shouldn't travel. If you do travel, make sure you have a kit in your car to stay warm. In case something, God forbid, does happen, you can stay warm. Because again, we're talking about a lot of wind and things are still going to be cold Friday. This is the time frame that if you get stuck on the road, you're going to be battling 30 to 40 degree below zero wind chill values. So again, imperative that you try to stay off the road if you can. If you do have to travel, again, make sure you've got blankets. Make sure your gas is full, your gas tank. Don't try to skate off to the parents' house for Thanksgiving on a half tank. It's not going to be one of those days that could leave you in a big issue, a big bind. So let's back up here a little bit and talk about those winds. Again, this is the system that we're watching today. It's still north of us. Wednesday, it's still northwest of us. We're actually not looking too cold. We're in these blues here, it's 30s. But take a look at this. This pushes in, as this cold front pushes in, of course, we see the snow. We're not talking about snow right now. We're talking about cold air. Take a look at these lines. These are lines of equal pressures, what we call our pressure gradient. When they get packed really close together, that's where you start to pick up some pretty strong winds. And this is not only going to make the temperature cold, this is going to make those temperatures feel even colder because it's wind directly in out of the north. And so while we've got temperatures waking up on Thursday in the 30s, this is likely an early morning temperature. That's one important factor of Thursday's forecast. The high, 32, coming early in the morning. Before we get to that cold front, behind that cold front, we plummet throughout the day. And so our wind chills at times could be in the negative teens. Now this is a general number for the day as a whole. As you get further into Thursday night, you start to look more at numbers like this when it comes to your feels like. So keep that in mind if you're going to be out late Thursday into early Friday. This is, I believe, a 7 a.m. generated number. And of course, we've been mentioning that 30 to 40 possibility. So in localized areas, we may get wind chills at times closer to that 40-degree mark, and that can be seriously impactful when it comes to your health. Let's dive in. Frostbite times. This is your time to wind chill table, we'll call it. At wind chills of 30 to 40 degrees, you can start to see where I'm going with this. Your frostbite can set in or come into play in around 10 to 20 minutes. So that's less than 30 minutes. You go out to maybe run a quick errand. If you're not prepared, you start to run into some serious health effects pretty quickly. It's going to be pretty dangerous cold that's heading our way. So there's a lot of things with this forecast to talk about. And of course, again, if you're traveling, first aid kit's great. A lot of these things are great to have, but I know it's realistically, you're not going to grab everything on this list. If you grab anything, grab a blanket, or make sure your gas tank is full. Give yourself the extra time to at least do that. Grab a phone charger. Make sure if you do get stuck on the side of the road that you've got a way to communicate in case your phone's dead. Again, great things, especially if you're traveling this winter storm hitting at probably the worst time it can, given our proximity to Christmas. Weather alert day for Thursday, that's where the snow actually falls. Again, I know this says blowing snow. No more snow is in the forecast for Friday. We're not going to be adding to those totals, but the snow that's already on the ground, that is going to maybe be a concern as winds pick up to 20 to 30 miles per hour Friday morning. And of course, those winds, not only are they blowing snow around, they're bringing in the cold. 5 degrees, that's the forecasted high, but the early morning temperature below zero. So sub-zero temperatures, single-digit highs. Saturday, we start to climb out of that. We're in the teens, but it's still windy, it's still cold, still feeling like negative 12 out there. It's going to be bitterly cold all the way through Saturday. Sunday, we do see improvement. Sunday AM, Sunday morning is where we cut off the weather alert day because things are starting to improve on Sunday. Your travel conditions are improving. Your winds are starting to relax a little bit. Temperatures are back up into the low 20s, and it doesn't exactly sound tropical, but it's an improvement. And we're back to near freezing by the time we get to your Monday. Okay, I'm not going to hop off here. I'm looking for questions. Versailles snow totals for Christmas. All right, that is a question that we've got on our YouTube. Again, if you're just tuning in, this will play later, so feel free to circle it back. But if you've got questions, we're on YouTube Live right now. Hit us up. I've got the chat open. I'm going to refresh it here in a second. But I got a question about snow totals near Versailles. Versailles is going to put, let's see if I can take that closer. Versailles is going to be in that 2 to 4 window. You do have a chance at an isolated 5-inch, although I believe that 5-inch isolated total would more likely come closer to I-70, maybe a line from Sedalia over to Paris. But you're likely going to see accumulations. We're kind of getting to that point in the forecast where we're confident that snow is going to accumulate. Exact amounts are questionable in the forecast at the moment. Right now, you're in that 2 to 4 window. That would be likely the most likely scenario for you there. And again, that snow, as we've been mentioning, I'm going to repeat this because this is an important part of the forecast. Even after the snow's done, it's still going to be blowing around. That snow likely comes to an end Thursday night. And thanks to the 20 to 30 mile per hour winds that we're seeing with this system out of the due north, that's going to be kicking up some of the snow because it's going to be a dry and fluffy snow. Thank you, Mr. Weatherman. You the man. Thanks for the shout out there. Let's see. Any other questions? Just 2 questions so far. I see we got 30 people watching on YouTube. If you're watching on our website, thank you for watching. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can see your comments, if you're leaving any, or if you can leave comments. So yeah, that's essentially what we're talking about. Travel issues. I'll leave you with this. Wednesday evening, looking all right. If you're traveling for Christmas, you're just getting out of town because you want to. Traveling for maybe Hanukkah. I believe the first day of Hanukkah was Monday, but yeah, maybe you're traveling for that. Maybe you're traveling for anything. Maybe you're getting out of town to go on vacation. You're headed to the airport. Wednesday's your time to get out of town. If you're trying to scoot to the airport Thursday morning or Thursday night, it's going to be tough. I've had someone ask me, they've got a flight, I believe it's St. Louis, early Thursday morning. I think they're going to be able to get out of Columbia early Thursday morning. They're leaving before sunrise. Okay, just to give you an idea. That's the time frame where you probably need to hit the road. If you're headed to Kansas City, you're flying out of KCI, you're really going to want to get there probably by Wednesday night, because that's when it starts to roll through the Kansas City area. I'm not too familiar with how that may impact your flight actually leaving, but as far as getting to the city, driving to KCI, you're going to have some issues. But yeah, this is essentially your time frame that you want to look at. And even Friday, maybe you're trying to get somewhere Friday, they'll have time to clear the roads. The only problem with Friday is that winds will be, again, 20, 30, gusting higher. And that's going to keep visibility an issue. As we've mentioned, this is a dry, fluffy snow. This is going to get kicked up in the air and likely cause some issue in that regard. It may also cover back up some roads that were once uncovered. So even though the snow had been cleared, that's going to be an issue. But again, I'll leave you with this. Actually, no, let's head to the 7-day. I'll leave you with the 7-day one last time if I can get there. There we go. Yeah, here it is. Weather alert day. The reason we're doing this live stream is weather alert day Thursday. We've got a decent chance for snow, high confidence, and at least some accumulation area wide. Again, refer to that map. You can find that map on my Facebook, or you can find it on Twitter as well. And of course, we'll have it on our Weather Alert Day blog. Head on over there after you're done rewatching this. If you have any questions, covered everything in pretty good detail. I don't see any more questions on the, let me see if I've got any more questions on the YouTube. Let's see, live chat. Thoughts on work from home Thursday, Friday? I definitely would. I'd stay home if you could. Don't want to get out in that cold at all. It's not really the snow accumulation that's going to be impactful. I mean, it will be. The blowing snow is going to reduce visibility. You'll likely, depending on where you are, you may not have too much issue getting around, but the cold is going to be a problem. And you may, again, that blowing snow is going to add a factor of unpredictability there. Will the snow stay clear? Because it's not like we're dealing with inches on inches on inches, and we're not dealing with any freezing issues. This is going to just be a very drifty snow. It'll clear easy, but it won't stay cleared for long. So again, Thursday, Friday, work from home. I think that's a great idea. That's an excellent idea. Hey, and you know what? You're heading into the Christmas weekend as well. I think that's an opportunity to treat yourself. Stay home if you can. Saturday and Sunday, again, it's going to be dangerous cold, but we are seeing some improvement on Sunday. I would argue Sunday, a high of 22 is arguably dangerous cold if you're not prepared for it. So again, that's kind of what it all boils down to. But you know, Thursday night into Friday with wind chills 30 below zero, that's hard to be prepared for, especially when you're acclimated to the Missouri climate. But yeah, weather alert day wraps up Sunday morning. You shouldn't have much in the way of travel issues Sunday. Be aware of some slick roads. Oh, you know, one thing I haven't mentioned a whole lot, I've been caught up in all of the negative impacts here. It looks like it's going to be a pretty solid white Christmas. I mean, anything that falls Thursday is going to stick around. We don't have temperatures back above freezing until Monday. So a little bit of good news there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't see any other questions. Again, if you have questions, circle back. We're going to be doing more of these anyway. We'll have another update later this afternoon, I believe. Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner will be in, and I'll be back at 5 a.m. tomorrow. And hopefully things don't change a whole lot between now and then. If they do, we'll let you know.